Hello everyone, you welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bablet Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, motorbike riders in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, get into violent and deadly confrontations between them and elements of the Yaoundé 1 municipal police. A bike rider is alleged to have died in the violent confrontations that provoked commotion, confusion, and paralyzed circulation in the Likjo neighborhood in the country's political capital. Earlier today, the national president of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP, Kabangwala Edith, calls on Cameroonians to rise up for the liberation of all detainees of the Anglophone crisis, as well as Professor Maurice Kamto and other leaders of the CRM, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, as well as the militants who have been arrested and detained in different incarceration centers in the nation's political capital. Yaoundé, those were our top stories. The situation has continued deteriorating in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, since the peaceful protest initiated by some teachers and lawyers in October 2016 quickly switched into an armed conflict in those parts of the country. Yesterday, the governor of Southwest, Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, came under attack by separatist fighters for a second time. His convoy was attacked in some localities between the southwest regional chieftain Boya and Kumba. He was en route to the Kumba district hospital, recently set ablaze by unidentified individuals. Details in this report compiled by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
This is what remains of the vehicle of Bernard Okalia-Bilai, governor of the southwest region of Cameroon. It is an image imposed by separatists who dared the governor again on his trip to one of the trouble-hit divisions in the crisis-stricken southwest region. Bernard Okalia-Bilai, in a heavily militarized convoy, was heading to Kumba in the Meme division to take stock of the Kumba district hospital burnt by separatists, according to Cameroon's Minister of Communication, when separatists attacked. After some minutes of gun exchanges between separatists and Cameroonian defense and security forces, some close to 10 persons, among whom a female journalist who was part of the governor's convoy, sustained injuries. A determined Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, despite the attack, continued for Kumba in the Meme division. In Kumba, the hospital is completely destroyed, deserted by all but 2 helpless patients. The governor made a tour of the structure in rains and equally visited some patients transferred to a different hospital in the town of Kumba. Soldiers wounded in his convoy were treated at the base of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, South Zone in Kumba. The triple attacks on the governor's convoy to and from Kumba, be it at Moyoka, Mbalangi and Mabonji, only demonstrate the determination of separatists to defy administrative authorities. In April 2018, the same governor in a convoy to Libya Lem division was attacked by separatists in Alo in the same region.
That is the situation as far as the southwest region of the country is concerned. The governor of the region, Bernard Okalia-Bilai, narrowly escapes death for a second time. His convoy is being attacked by separatist fighters, and the national president of the Cameroon People's Party, CPP, Kabangwala Edith, has urged all Cameroonians to rise up for the liberation of all detainees of the Anglophone crisis, as well as leaders of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party, national president of the CRM Professor Maurice Kamto, other leaders of the party including Penda Ekoka, as well as Albert Zongan, and of course we're equally talking about other leaders and militants of the CRM political party who have been detained in different incarceration centers in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And Kabangwala Elite was speaking to the press earlier today here in the country's economic capital, Douala. We'll be coming back to this story in a short while with EQUINOXE. Meantime, we talk about bike riders in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. One of them is alleged to have died in confrontations with elements of the Yaoundé 1 municipal council police, and the confrontations took place today. And of course, there was commotion and confusion in the Ligijo neighborhood. We have details in this report by Immaculate Fogwe.
Disgruntled commercial motorbike riders in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé, are expressing their anger over the alleged death of a bike rider after confrontations with elements of the Yaoundé Council Municipal Police in a Ligue-Edzoa neighborhood. They are decrying what they consider as indiscriminate, unjustifiable, violent repression and fraud by council police officers.
Enough is enough. It's enough. Let the council people try to see into consideration the situation of the motorbike people, because the way they are behaving, even when you have your documents, they still hold you and ask a certain amount of money from you. So enough is enough, and the government should also try. The government should also try and see how they can get the people in order to know how to function with us. Because the way they are behaving, we don't understand. Even police people did not beat at people to an extent where they will kill somebody because they want money. So please, the government should see into it.
A vehicle and a motorbike have been burned to ashes. Circulation around this area have been paralyzed. It will only take the intervention of forces of law and order to disperse the protesters.
And I told you earlier, the national president of the CPP, Kabangwala Edith, has called on all Cameroonians to rise up tomorrow, qualified as Black Friday. She called on Cameroonians to rise up for the liberation of all the detainees of the Anglophone crisis and leaders of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement who have been detained in different incarceration centers in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. She was speaking to the press earlier today. EQUINOXE reports.
Edith Kawala, head of the Cameroon People's Party and Stand Up for Cameroon, alongside her militants and members, have not stopped bathing the ruling regime with itchy water for ruling off the expectations and rights of most Cameroonians. Their Black Friday, February 15, 2019, will be very black as repressive handling of the socio-political situations in Cameroon crosses the red line.
We are asking Cameroonians to come out this particular Friday massively in black for the violence and the killing that we have seen in Northwest and Southwest. Unprecedented. In the last 10 days, it has gone drastically bad. We are asking them to come out for the Anglophones who are in prison, for the members of MRC, CRM who are in prison. Because when you arrest political leaders, when you arrest people who are acting non-violently, who are protesting as allowed to by the Constitution of Cameroon, you have arrested all of us. You have stepped on the liberties of all of us.
To Edith Kawala, Cameroonians must understand their rights to manifest is non-negotiable with a particular individual or a political party.
What makes a country is a foundation of justice, of liberty for everybody, including the person with whom you are in disagreement. That person must be free to express their opinion. So we say no. The government continues every day. Yesterday, it was extreme north. After that, it was northwest and southwest. Now we are having people in Yaoundé and Douala being arrested. We cannot wait any longer. We cannot think that it will happen to my neighbor, but it will not happen to me. It is all Cameroonians who are concerned. It is the future of our country concerned.
Massaging the regime to the CPP and Stand Up for Cameroon encourages the regime in power to become more repressive and dictatorial over those it has to decorate justice.
It has led to the radicalization of movements. Today in Northwest and Southwest, we have so many armed groups. Where did they come from? They came from the violent repression of this government, of a non-violent movement. We do not want to see another violent movement in our country. MRC is a legitimate political party, non-violent. When they now take the leaders and put them in prison, what will happen? They are opening the road for people who will have no direction, who will have no limits, to come out and do things which none of us will be able to control.
Another politician believes Kamto's arrest and detention is just.
Il a démontré au monde entier qui s'en fout des lois du Cameroun.
Kamto gives a damn to the constitutional laws. If he is freed, thousands of Cameroonians will in the same light disrespect laws governing Cameroon, thus describing them as trash.
1000 personnes qui vont dire qu'ils s'en foutent des textes de l'État.
Government, on its part, had warned and promised severe judiciary infringement to anyone who dares threaten public order and tranquility through unauthorized manifestations, irrespective of their integrity and the movement or political party in which they belong.
Kabangwala is the national president of the CPP political party, calling on Cameroonians to stand up against the ongoing killings, destruction of properties, abductions, and of course the burning down of villages, institutions, and private homes in the two Anglophone regions of the country, but also what is qualified as violation of human rights, notably with regards to the arrest and detention of some Anglophones in connection to the ongoing crisis, as well as leaders of the CRM political party and some militants of that political party after the protest move that they organized in some major towns of the country. And we are receiving in this newscast a journalist who is coming right away from the northwest region of the country, Larry Uchena, journalist with Santa Meteo Radio and The Voice newspaper. Larry, you're welcome. The northwest and the southwest regions of the country are currently in a lockdown, which means that vehicles, motorbikes, are neither moving in or out of the two regions. How did you manage to get yourself out of the northwest to Douala?
First of all, I want to start by saluting the viewers. Of course, it's indeed a privilege having me here. I want to say that it's an ordeal that I've not thought of maybe recounting elsewhere, but of course this opportunity is so good. It was really a terrible scene, terrible act that we actually did. We call it a move of strength and might, because we had to undergo lengthy moving. We walked from a very long distance. I mean, living Mancon, and when I say Mancon, I mean in-depth inside Mancon, and walking through Mancon in a dead city, crossing from Mancon, which is Bamenda 2, to Bamenda 3, and getting into Bamenda 1 to find a bus that could take us out of the northwest region. It was a terrible scene, terrible, something I can just say I've never witnessed before.
You were trekking through the bushes or the streets or behind people's homes and so on, or how?
The incident, the whole thing is that I was actually moving on the road, and when I see a car coming, I don't need to know whether it is a civilian car or a military car. I will just enter the bush and stay there. Hear a sound of a gun, I hide. That's how I was doing it. And it's unfortunate that even a bike or a car, I never saw it that day. But I was just afraid when I see somebody from a distance, I'll enter and hide, and the person will pass. Until I found myself at Finance Junction, where I luckily saw a single bus that was already partially full before they took me, and we actually went out of that particular scenario. In fact, it was a scene that I was like, but why would I go through this type of risk?
Very frightening.
Yes, very, very frightening.
And you must have gathered a good dose of courage to be able to move through.
It's actually terrible, and that courage is as a result of the profession. I think sometimes you need to go through this tin and tack in order to see or get first-hand information on some particular issues. If I tell you that that particular day I saw nobody, then birds were not even heard, no fowls, no animals around. It's like the animals also know that lockdown is also going to, it's like you're locking down animals as well. None of those things are being seen around.
Bamenda has practically been, Bamenda, like other parts of the two Anglophone regions, have practically been turned into graveyards.
Yes, I will say yes to that, because when I left Mancon and I was entering into Bamenda 2, Bamenda 3, it was like a sad story. A town that is hustling in different ways. You see enough vehicles on the street, you see Okadas, you see different brands of vehicles. You'll be shocked that that day I saw no vehicle. I was asking myself, where did all these cars go to? Are there really cars in Bamenda?
For the past close to 2 weeks now,
yes,
this has been the situation. How are the people surviving with this kind of tense, difficult atmosphere where people cannot move around freely and so on?
Jonathan, I want to tell you that it's actually a sad thing that has before the people of the Northwest, where I am proudly one of them. It's sad in the sense that you sit and you just get up one day, you might just find a text on your phone, or you just say, your neighbor saying that there's lockdown. And the irony of it is that you don't even know who is doing what and where and how. It just happened. And when the issue of lockdown actually started the first day, it was like, this will surely go through to the 10th day. I was like, but we've witnessed it in the presidential election. This was effective to the latter. And when I got the first day, went to an end, the second day to an end, I said, okay, it means I'm going to go through the whole day. But then I had an occasion, a pertinent issue to attend to. So I had to go through all this risk. And I'm sure that the same risks I'm going through, somebody else is going through. And moving on the street of Bamenda, it's not like we want to or like to. Sometimes you're compared to because of some obligation that you need to catch up with.
With the markets shut down, the shops closed, the agencies and all the motor parks equally closed, all activities grounded. How have people been surviving for close to 10 days today in this kind of situation?
It's not something for me to keep recalling. There's always a message that comes and say you should get food stuff and stock your house when these 10 days approach, or when you want to start these 10 days.
Oh, you receive a message like that?
It's unanimous, of course. Even online, you get all these type of messages coming in. It's all over the place. You don't need to be told. And the idea here is that once you have such a message, or 1 or 2, 3 people tells you, you need to respect it, whether you like it or not. And the idea of buying food, when you just hear it, they say lockdown, 10 days lockdown. I had to fill my house with food, enough variety. And sometimes you might not even have that interest, that zeal to eat the food, not because you cannot eat, but because of somehow the fright. The town is quiet. And there's this joke that somebody actually told me one time. He says the town is quiet to an extent in which you could hear somebody speaking in Bafoussam in the West region. And it sounds so strange.
And as a journalist, practicing journalism in the two Anglophone regions of the country has become more or less a death trap. How are you going about your job in this difficult terrain? What are some of the challenges?
Yeah, I want to say it's also really a challenging issue, because first of all, we don't have access to adequate information, in the sense that we see it sometimes. We get up and somebody has been shot, we don't know by whom or who did what, how, what was the circumstances leading to the person's death. And sometimes you need to catch up with a certain report from your hierarchy, like you actually rightly mentioned, and with a voice. And sometimes you get a report from the headquarters saying that, Larry, give me this report in this maybe 25-30 minutes. Now, how will you get the facts? Dead town, you cannot move, there is no vehicle, there is no bike, there is nothing nobody can access information from. And it's like you just need to keep quiet, because sometimes if you give the information and you don't actually give the accurate information, it's a problem. And now we're finding ourselves in a fix, middle of somewhere, like for instance in an ocean, middle of an ocean where you don't know the right direction to take. Now it is very difficult, Babila, I want to tell you this, to gather information now in Bamenda, especially when it comes to these lockdowns and coming with curfew and all these things. It makes it very difficult for us to get information.
Larry Uchenna, journalist with Santa Meteo Radio and The Voice newspaper. Thanks for coming.
I'm so grateful.
On to something else now, ladies and gentlemen. About 3 shops were consumed by wild flames earlier today at the Denye Poto neighborhood, not far from Terminus Saint-Michel here in the economic capital, Douala. It was a serious fire incident that consumed almost everything on its way, and before the arrival of rescue soldiers, the flames had ravished practically all the 3 stores that were consumed or were caught up in the flames, and the population struggled to no avail to quench the flames. Now here's an extract of witness.
I came back from work just for a reason. That's my landlord. The place that got burned is my landlord's place. So I just came back from work. It has not stayed. I was in the house. He came and met me in the house. It's not up to, let's say, an hour. Light went off. After now, I discovered that something was smelling. Like it was as if fire was burning somewhere. But I did not get into that because after that, light came back. So a few minutes after, I just said somebody was knocking at the door, pum, 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 le feu, that there was fire everywhere. All of a sudden, I came out, I discovered that the whole place was already on fire. So I don't just know how it happened. Whether it was that light came like that, on coming back, it came with force, or how, I don't know.
How much store burn? How much store burn?
Three. This other store, the first one of my landlord, the other shop, he's selling this in beer. It's a bar. So the other one, they are selling these parts, like this wire stuff. Then the other one, we have bed sheets, mantras, and chairs.
Enormous material damage recorded in that fire incident last night here in the economic capital, Douala, and it should be noted that thanks to the arrival of rescue soldiers, the flames were prevented from spreading further to nearby buildings. Now, we talk about the training of some women and young persons today at the Art and Craft Village here in the economic capital, Douala, who the women and youths were being trained on how to set up cooperatives in order to bring together or put together their capacities in view of making better impact and producing more and making more benefits in all their economic endeavors, notably with regards to the production of agricultural products in the Republic of Cameroon. And they were being encouraged to merge themselves together into cooperatives in order to better face challenges such as financial constraints. That is one of the major hindrances, one of the major challenges that they are facing in their activities. Here's an extract of the Secretary General at the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, the Ministry of small and medium-sized enterprises, and one of the participants. Take a listen.
Workshop is absolutely necessary because our population, they don't have the know-how. They don't know how to manage to create society first, and collective societies, business societies, I mean. That we want to show them, to learn, to teach them how to create that kind of societies, how to work together to manage better the business and to earn more, to have more benefits. For this workshop, there are mostly women and youth. That's it's because the youth are so many are most in employment, and the women, we are more than men, and we have that those people to teach.
My name is Chick Marcelo Smute. I am the general coordinator of the Association for Vulnerable Persons, in short ASAVP. Why I come here is because I think it is necessary that, as you have heard from the themes there, that most of the associations should become cooperatives, and I think that to be a cooperative is very necessary in a evolving economy like ours. I will just go and also organize another seminar in my association and tell them exactly what I've got from here, and they will be pleased enough to understand that we need to move forward. If we want to evolve, we need to join as a group.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.